Wow, wow. Rambam. Welcome, folks. We conclude today the sixth book. How powerful is that? Books, Sefer Haflaw, which is about oaths and the like. Okay, chapter 8 in Erechin Haramim. Erechin, when you're giving a vow for the value of yourself or something, a value of, to the Holy Temple, is, or dedicating something to the Holy Temple, and so on. That's the final chapter, chapter 8. All right. Leave a let in, people, please. Okay. Halacha 1. On the 15th of Adar, which is the day after Purim, the court diverts their attention from other concerns and examines and investigates matters involving the needs of the community and consecrated property. They check the matter and research the cases involved. So the consecrated property and dedication offerings will be redeemed, and arachim and pledges of worth are collected from those who are liable for them, so that the entire nation will be prepared to give the gift of shkolim, right, the half a shekel, to maintain the house of God, right, for the temple, right, which the half a shekel is everybody's participation in the communal sacrifices that will start the new year from Rosh Chodesh Nisan, right? So this is 2 weeks before that, this preparation.
Okay.
So consecrated articles are redeemed only on the basis of evaluation of 3 experts, right? So consecrated are means, like, if I consecrated my land to be given to the temple treasury, right? Or I dedicate an animal for an offering, all those things that have to do with that become consecrated and now are in the hands of the temple treasury and the like.
Value has to be up by 3.
Yes. So yeah. So now remember, temple treasury has no value in land, has no value in something except basically money, because with the money they can now pay for all the needs that there are in the sanctuary, right? Which will include sacrifices, that when there's not personal or communal sacrifices to be given, and maintaining it, the fixing of it, whatever it is, paying paying people that need to be paid, whatever the case may be, right?
Millions of dollars.
It's a lot of money. Yeah.
Billions.
Wow. Yeah. So similarly, when movable, so it needs to be evaluated and therefore sold. Similarly, when the movable property is being taken as security, when one is liable for erechim, it should be evaluated by 3 people. And when the animal or the like is designated as an erech, it should be evaluated by 3 people again. All the different scenarios. When, however, land is designated as an erech, right, the value of the land, or if erechim for humans must be collected from landed property, meaning, in other words, a person says, by the way, a mazel tov, I didn't mention before, but my daughter gave birth to a baby girl early this morning. So, so someone might say, because of in honor of the occasion, I give the value, right? The person might say such a thing, right? To, the value of whatever it is, or the erech, which means predetermined value. If it's not, different terminologies mean different things, as we've been learning here, right? So when it comes to landed property, it has to be valued by 10 people, and one of them must be a kohen, a priest. For the passage that speaks about redemption mentions a kohen. Similarly, if a person says, I pledge my worth, the worth of so-and-so, the worth of my hand, right? Or the worth of my foot, when like someone, his hand got healed. And he says, I pledge to God the value of my hand because a miracle happened. My hand got healed, right? So then you have to evaluate what's the value of a person. We learned all these laws before, right? Right? How much a person would be worth with and without a hand. And that difference is what you have to pay. When a value is the worth of his hand or the foot, it may be made by 10 people, and one of them has to be a kohen. When consecrated property, whether landed property or movable property, is redeemed from the temple treasury, an announcement is made before all those who might seek to redeem it. So, yeah. Fine rule applies if one says, I will redeem them for 10 sloim. Another says for 20. A third says for 30, and a fourth for 40, and a fifth for 50. And then the one who pledged 50 alone retracts. We expropriate 10 sloim from the property of the latter and give the consecrated article to the one who pledged to give 40. So a guy said 50, but in the end, he couldn't come up with the money. So 10 has to be taken from him because he pledged. And we'll take the 40 from the other guy, right? Thus, the inventor receives 50 because once you make a pledge, it's got to be paid. Right.
Okay, so he has to do at least 10 because that's what.
Because the 40 we could get from someone else. 10 from one of the 40 from the other. If one who pledged 40 also retracts, we expropriate from him 10 sloim from his property and gives the consecrated article to the one who pledged 30. And if he and the others also retract, we follow the same process until the option is given to the first. If the first who pledged 10 also retracts, we announce the redemption of the consecrated article for a second time and sell it. If it's redeemed for less than 10, we collect the difference from the persons who originally pledged 10.
3 kids.
Fascinating. Okay. When does the above apply? When they retracted one from the other. If, however, they all retracted at the same time, we divide the sum among them. What is implied? If the first one says, I will redeem it for 10 slime, the second says for 20, the third says for 30, for 24. The second and the third at the same time, we enable the first to redeem it for 10, and we expropriate 7 from the property of both the second and the third, which would make 24 altogether, right? Thus, temple treasury collects 24, right? Similarly, if all 3 of them retracted the consecrated article is ultimately sold for 3, we expropriate 7 slime from the property of all of them. This principle is followed in all instances.
But you have to pledge.
For sure, if you didn't pledge, then what are you expropriating? If you pledge, you're obligated. That's the point, right? It's a vow. It's called a vow. Excuse me. The original owners of the consecrated article are given the opportunity to redeem the consecrated article before all others because they are required to add a fifth. So it gives more to the temple treasury, right? He adds a fifth, as we learn. They are not, however, required to add a fifth to the sum that they bid above other potential redeemers, only to what they initially pledged, was implied. The owner said, I will redeem it for 20. And another person said, I'll redeem it for 20. The owners are given the option. The owners are given the option because they add a fifth, they're going to give 25, right? If another person says, I will redeem it for 21, the original owners remain silent, do not add anything, we sell it to them for 25. If the owners increase the bid to 21, adding even a pruta, they are required to pay 26 and a pruta, and 21 and a pruta, which they pledged on their own initiative, and the 5 of which the fifth of the original bid, right? Because you have to give on the original a fifth more.
It's an auction.
Yeah. Yeah, in order the temple treasury should get the most that they can, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, the second person said, I will redeem it for 22, and the third said for 23, the fourth said for 24, and the fifth said 25. The original owner added even a pruta to the sum of 25. He's compelled to give 30 and a pruta, right? Because he's got to give a fifth more, but he's giving a fifth over his original 20, not on what he's giving now of the 30. 25 the pledge is the own initiative, and the 5 which is the fifth that they are obligated. For the owner is not required to add a fifth to the additions of the others. Instead, he must add a fifth from the original pledge to the final sum that they pledged. What does the above apply? When does the above apply? The consecrated article was not evaluated by 3 experts. If, however, 3 experts evaluated the consecrated property and said that it was worth what the last bidder pledged, and the original owner then increased his bid by even a pruta, the additional fifth they must give is calculated based on the latter bid. Aha. They must therefore give 31 slime and a dinner and a pruta. Why? Because they have to give, since it was evaluated at 30, not at 20 what he originally, so he has to give based on what it was evaluated. Sorry, 25, not 30, yeah, 25, not 20, but right. Following rules apply when the consecrated property was not evaluated in the original, and the owner pledged 20. Someone else came and pledged 25, and the owner remained silent and did not add anything. The owner is still given priority, for he is also required to pay 25 because of the additional fifth. If another person came and pledged 26, he's given the property, right? Because that's more than what he would give, right? So he's not, in other words, the point being here, he's not given an opportunity to have it. 2 people are at 25, right?
Yeah.
So the original owner is given right a first refusal. But if the guy gave 26 and he would only go to 25, so he's not given that right, because the temple treasury is going to lose a seller, right? If another person came and pledged 26, he's given the priority. If the owner desires to add even a pruta, he must give 31 sloim and the pruta as we explained. This pattern is followed in all instances.
25 plus 5. I'm way off.
Oh, 26 plus 5,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
In the present era, we do not consecrate property, nor make evaluation offerings or dedication offerings, for there's no temple to make the improvements upon. Following laws apply if one did consecrate property or make an evaluation offering or dedication offering. If it was an animal, he should lock it in a closed room until it dies naturally. If it was to produce a garment or utensil, he should set it aside until it rots, right? Because now we have no way. It's holy. You can't redeem it. You can redeem it with money. Why? Because it went to the temple treasury. It went to a holy place. But now there's no holy place to bring it to. That's why we shouldn't consecrate anything today, right?
You can't give it to Kavados, for example.
No, because that's not a holy temple. No, consecrated means it's going for the holy temple, right? That's why we don't. Yeah,
You have to be careful, eh?
yeah. No, it means like I consecrate this, you know. No, you're not saying to wear, but you're just saying the fact that I'm consecrating it. Well, it's holy now. You can't benefit from it, but it can't be used in holiness because we have no holy place to use it now anymore. Holiness means, in a holy place where you come, pure, not pure meaning that, if you came in contact with a corpse, you had the sprinkling of the red heifer, right? If you came in contact with a carcass of an animal, you went to the mikvah, right? All these things on how you have to make yourself pure and holy, right?
You can't put away the
But,
holy.
well, no, so in the times of the temple, you could redeem it. That's the point. Now you can't redeem it, so therefore it has to, right here, and when it comes to a utensil, you have to let it rot. If it's coins or metal utensils, they should be taken to the Dead Sea or the Mediterranean Sea to be destroyed,
Okay.
thrown into, right. If a person consecrated a servant who accepted the mitzvahs incumbent of the servant and designates him a dedication offering, it should be redeem him and bring the money to the Dead Sea. And the law regarding the other pledges, worth of the article in the present age, if the servant was would be cast. So, well, I'm not clear on that. If the permissible, anyway, don't pledge anything. Permissible to redeem consecrated property for the prudent in the present age, even as an initial or preferable option. Our sages, however, ruled that it be redeemed for poor zuzim and close it in the sum to publicize the matter. In the era of the temple, as an initial preference, it should be redeemed for its worth, as we explain. This way people know. In the present age, if a person made a dedication offering of movable property without specifying his intent, should be given to the kohanim in the locale. Movable property now we're talking about.
Everything. Yeah.
If, however, if he designated a field in Eretz Yisrael, dedicated offering without specifying the intent of designating dedication offering to Kohanim, it should not be. It is not a dedicated offering. The law's dedication offering of a field apply in the era of Jubilee is observed. So fields is not the only movable property that would go to a kohen, but not fields, because that's only during the Jubilee. If one designated land and property as a dedication offering to a kohen in the diaspora, even in the present era, it's considered as like movable property in Eretz Yisrael, should be given to the kohanim. That's interesting. I don't know why. It's a mitzvah to consecrate property and designate dedication, and evaluation offerings. It is appropriate for a person to observe these practices, subjugate to his natural inclination, that he will not be parsimonious, parsimonious, and to fulfill the charge of the prophets, honor God with your wealth. Nevertheless, the person never consecrated property, nor designated a dedication or valuation offering, is of no consequence. For the Torah has given testimony saying, if you will refrain from uttering a vow, you will not have sinned. Okay. 13. The person should never consecrate all of the property or designate it as a dedication offering. A person who does so violates the Torah's guidance. The Torah speaks of a person dedicating offering from all of his, implying that he should not give all that is his, as our sages explain. She gives some of your property, but not all. This is not piety, but foolishness. For he will lose all of his money and become dependent on others. We should, right? So it doesn't, so you might think, oh, I gave all of my, dedicated everything to God. I gave everything to Chabad. Wonderful, but now you're going to have to go knock on doors to get money so you could eat? No, that's foolishness. We should not show mercy on such a person. In similar vein, our sages said a man of foolish piety is among those who destroy the world. Instead, a person who can distribute his money for mitzvahs should not distribute more than a fifth. And he should not conduct himself as the prophets advise. He arranges his affairs with judgment, both with regard to the matters involving Torah and worldly concerns. Even with regard to the sacrifice of which a person is liable, the Torah showed compassion for a person's resources and dictated that the type of sacrifice be offered according to a person's financial capacity. How much more so should this approach be followed with regard to matters which a person is obligated only because of his vows? he should take such vows only in a manner appropriate for him. It's implied by the verse, each man according to the generosity, according to the blessings of God, your God, which he has granted. Blessed be God who grants assistance. We concluded the 6th book with the help of the omnipresent. There are 42 chapters in this book. Hilchos Shvuos with 12 chapters. That's oaths. Hilchos Nedarim, vows, 13 chapters. Hilchos Naziros, laws of the Nazarite, 10 chapters, because that's a vow. Hilchos Erechim Haramim, 8 chapters of pledges.
What's total?
43.
Oh, that's not dividing the 43. I thought it was plus. Okay, gotcha.
Okay, let's just do a little bit of the beginning of the 7th book. Kalayim, chapter 1. In the name of the Lord our God, the world, may your hand and assistance be to me because I have chosen your precepts. The book of agriculture. This book, Sefer Zroim. Okay? I have to. So, look what it has in the book of agriculture. 7th book, which has 14 books. So, this is the halfway point in books. The book contains 7 halachas and they are arranged following the laws of forbidden mixtures. Right? Meaning you can't mix seeds, mix animals, right? Right? The gifts of the poor. The laws of Truma, right? Because that has to do with the land. That's like, the edges of your field, corners of your field, rather. You left over, what you forgot, the different laws about that. Those are gifts to the poor. Right? They're agrarian. They're basically agrarian, right? What you have to give. There's laws also, like when we speak about giving 10% of your money, really the 10% is the laws of tithing, which goes to the Levite 10%. Right? That's what it's based on, what we have today, but it's based on agriculture. That what you have to give. So laws of Truma, that's the 2% that goes to the Kohen. Laws of tithes, which is 10% that goes to the Levite. The laws of the second tithe and the produce of the 4th year. Second tithe is what you take to Jerusalem, right? Also another 10% that you take of your produce, you take to Jerusalem, celebrate there. The produce of the 4th year, which is similar to tithes. The first 3 years are Arla. You're not allowed to have benefit from a tree that is until its 4th year. The laws of first fruits, Bikurim, and other presents given to the Kohanim outside the temple. Today's learning. We learned about that today. We didn't finish it today in Chumash, right? But those are what the Kohen gets, right? The Truma is also what the Kohen gets. We didn't learn that. Laws of sabbatical and jubilee years, also agricultural. Laws for forbidden mixtures. They contain 5. No, this is the first one now. They contain 5 negative commands. They are: do not sow different species of produce, not sow grain or vegetables in a vineyard, not crossbreed different species of animals, not to work with 2 different species of animals together, not to wear a garment made from forbidden mixture of fabrics. And these are explained in the following chapters. Let's do Halacha 1, the person sows 2 species of seeds together, and as he sows, liable for lashes, because it's a prohibition. It says, and you shall not sow the field with mixed species. Okay, we're going to stop here.
So we're going to learn all these things?
Yep.
Which I'm a little bit familiar with, because I guess I learned it before.
Yes. Keep on learning and learning. We're going to become more and more familiar. So Mazel Tov, we finished the 6th book, and to be continued. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good
Thank you, Rabbi.
Shabbos to everyone.
Like an index.
Good.